Boeing agrees to plead guilty to charges related to 2 fatal crashes, but the victims' families say it's far from enough. Coming up today on Business Matters. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for being here with me. I appreciate it very much. I'm your host, Don Ma. Quick look at the markets here. The 3 major U.S. indexes saw very little change today. The Dow down by less than 0.1%, S&P up by about 1/10, and the Nasdaq 0.3% today. But the main story here today, the top story, is Boeing has agreed to plead guilty to a felony charge stemming from 2 deadly 737 MAX crashes overseas. But the victims' families say the deal is simply a slap on the wrist. NTD's Sam Wong has the details.
It's been a tumultuous year for Boeing. After a month under investigation, the aviation giant on Sunday agreed to plead guilty to conspiracy to defraud the United States. The charge traces back to 2 fatal crashes of the Boeing 737 MAX in Indonesia and Ethiopia several years ago, which led to the death of everyone on board. Now the Justice Department is demanding that Boeing pay an additional fine of $243 million, plus invest nearly $500 million in the company's compliance and safety programs. But no word yet on accountability for the deaths of hundreds of travelers.
I will never get a chance to see, hold, hug, kiss, and hear my daughter's voice ever again.
The plea deal is already receiving blowback from the victims' families, many of whom have vowed to oppose it. It comes after a 2021 settlement between the Justice Department and Boeing. The company avoided prosecution after the 2 crashes by promising to ramp up its safety controls. But DOJ said Boeing breached that agreement by deceiving regulators. This year, Boeing has faced scrutiny over its quality controls. It received widespread attention after a door plug blew off midair on an Alaska airline flight back in January. Under pressure, the company has since announced a string of leadership changes, including news that its CEO David Calhoun will step down at the end of 2024, a demand that lawmakers have long called for.
I'm proud of having taken the job. I'm proud of our safety record, and I am very proud of our Boeing people.
You're proud of this safety record, and I think the American public, when they fear to get on their airplanes, they understand your safety record. And frankly, sir, I think it's a travesty that you're still in your job.
Just recently, a former Boeing inspector alleged that scrap parts were used on the assembly lines at a factory in Everett, Washington. Aside from commercial flights, Boeing's contracts with the federal government make up a large portion of its revenue. The latest plea deal will likely trigger more legal disputes going forward. Sam Wong, NTD News.
And guess what? Snoopy and Bugs Bunny have teamed up. So Six Flags has completed an $8 billion merger with Cedar Fair. The new company, Six Flags Entertainment Corp., is now the largest amusement park operator in the United States. So in total, it's going to operate around 42 amusement parks and water parks across 17 states. Cedar Fair operates its flagship Cedar Point Park in Ohio, Knott's Berry Farm in California, and other parks as well. So it has the rights to Peanuts and Snoopy characters. Six Flags has a deal for DC Comics and Looney Tunes characters. A spokesperson said that fans should not expect any immediate changes to prices or ticket options, and for now each park will keep its old branding and name. Speaking of mergers, Paramount and Skydance have agreed to merge, and potentially creating an entertainment behemoth and giving rise to a new Hollywood supermogul with tremendous influence here over what people will watch. Here's more on that.
Skydance and Paramount agree to merge. In other words, Skydance, the studio behind Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning.
Ethan, what's your objective? What's your ultimate objective?
Top Gun: Maverick.
We're going into combat on a level no living pilot's ever seen. Not even him.
And the 2010 remake of True Grit.
I'm looking for the man who killed my father. The man's name is Tom Chaney, and I need somebody to go after him.
May take over Paramount, the media conglomerate behind Titanic.
Oh, forget it, boyo. You'll never get next to the likes of her.
And Transformers: Dark of the Moon. The The merger has to get regulatory approval. Paramount can also accept other offers within a 45-day period. Skydance, in combination with Redbird Capital Partners and KKR, plan to invest over $8 billion into Paramount. 41-year-old Skydance founder David Ellison, the son of tech billionaire Larry Ellison, will lead the combined company. The deal could cement his place as a new major Hollywood mogul, able to influence what major movies audiences will be watching worldwide. Ellison himself is an actor, starring in films like the 2006 war drama Flyboys.
Any questions? Will we be back by lunch?
And the 2009 comedy Hole in One.
Great job, Eric.
In 2014, he participated in the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. In 2018, Skydance partnered with Tencent. Tencent agreed to co-finance films and market them in China. Few details have been reported on their partnership. In April of this year, Ellison donated almost $930,000 to President Biden's re-election campaign, helping the Biden Victory Fund raise over $121 million in the first quarter. Ellison's sister, Megan Ellison, is the founder of Annapurna Pictures.
So this new poll actually surprised me a little bit. It found that only 36% of adults have a great deal or quite a lot of confidence in higher education. Not a lot, I mean, if you ask me. This is unchanged from the year before, but confidence has steadily declined from nearly 60% in the last decade, and this is according to Gallup and the Lumina Foundation. So the decline is across the board here with gender, age, and political affiliation. About 1/3 say college is simply too expensive. And about 1/4 feel students aren't learning what they need to in order to succeed, and researchers are most concerned about the shifting opinion on the bottom end of the June 2024 survey. So fewer Americans are reporting that they have some confidence with higher education, and more are reporting that they have very little to none. And now we're bringing in live Ted Rosman, senior analyst at Bankrate. Ted, how's it going?
Hi, thanks for having me.
All right, so Bankrate, has come out with a number of articles pertaining to this topic on colleges. And one specifically, it says that fewer than 1 in 5 job listings require college degrees. So, I mean, does having a college degree matter less now?
I'm still of the mind that a college degree is very important for your future earning power. For example, college grads earn about 75% more than non-college grads over their lifetime. The unemployment rate for college graduates is about half of what it is for non-college graduates. So I think there is a lot of significant evidence that points to the value of a college degree. That said, we know it's gotten tremendously expensive in recent years. College costs have more than doubled over the past 2 decades. There is some thought that should go into where you go to school and what you major in. Overall, though, I think a college degree is definitely still worth it.
So balancing the pros and cons here, the expenses that goes into getting a college degree versus the amount of money that you make after graduating, you would still be on the side of leaning towards having a college degree.
Yes, I'm definitely still on the side of going to college. Some people, though, are having thoughtful discussions about where to go. Like, for example, do you get more bang for your buck if you go to a public school as opposed to a very expensive private school? Or some people are also going the community college route for the first couple of years and then finishing up at a traditional 4-year school. That can be a way to save money. What you major in is very important. Majors like engineering and business have a lot more earning power than some others. Of course, we want you to be happy. We want you to follow your passions. But a lot of these teenagers are having to make big financial decisions. And it is really important to think early on about how are you going to pay for it? And what are you going to study? And what are you going to do with that after the fact? It's important to put a plan together, but a college degree is definitely worth it for most people in the long run.
So you talked about what you should do to, what are some tips that you should do to make college more affordable? But what are some of the things that you shouldn't do in the same vein?
Don't jump in without a plan. I mean, a lot of these teenagers are signing on the dotted line for 6 figures in student loans. And that's a tough thing at an early age. I mean, that can certainly hold you back. There's a lot of evidence that young people are delaying life milestones, whether that's getting married or having kids or buying a house, or, you don't want to sacrifice too much for that degree. Maybe there's a way to trade down to a cheaper school. Maybe there are more loans and grants and scholarships you can apply for. Working through college can be tremendously impactful. Look into various forgiveness programs. There are income-based forgiveness programs. There are public service forgiveness programs. It's important to explore all your options.
And I want to point out this as well. Federal loans are not your only option, right, when it comes to paying for school.
They're not the only option. They do tend to have lower rates and better deferment and forbearance options. You have to be careful with some of the private loans that may be more difficult to discharge, not only in bankruptcy, but also when it comes to various forms of forgiveness. You want to be wary of co-signing. Like if you need a parent to co-sign for that, that's a really big commitment. In general, federal loans have a lot of advantages, including the opportunity for forgiveness for some and better deferment and forbearance and lower rates and things like that. Make sure that you're exploring all of your options. And I know this year there were a lot of problems with the FAFSA form that people have to fill out to apply for student aid, but it's important to figure out the ins and outs of those kind of things and apply early.
Okay, we just have about 20 seconds here, and let me just squeeze in one more question. How do you balance paying off student loans and all of your other expenses?
Student loan debt is relatively low-cost debt in the grand scheme of things. So if you have something like credit card debt, I would definitely put that first. Chances are your credit card is charging 20 or 25% versus maybe more like 5 or 6 or 7% for student loans. So pay off that high-cost debt first.
All right. Thank you so much for your insight today, Ted.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, staying on the topic of college, earning college credit while clocked in at Walmart and McDonald's. So many American universities offer credit for corporate training programs at companies like Google and Microsoft, but some of the nation's largest retailers are working on their own credit conversion for retail and fast food service. Now, McDonald's is working with several community colleges to convert on-the-job skills like customer service toward degrees in culinary arts or hospitality. Through Walmart Academy, the retailer offers short-form certificates and training courses in tech, leadership, digital operations that translate to credit at partner universities, something to keep an eye on. Taking a break now. Coming up, the lawyers who avoided Elon Musk's $56 billion payday package are trying to cash in. Why they are pushing for more than $300,000 an hour in the case. Also, we look at Starbucks and how one report says the company may be unintentionally devaluing itself. Stay tuned to learn why. And welcome back. Starting off with the second half, over 1 million customers are without power in Texas, and over 1,000 flights have been canceled nationwide. So Hurricane Beryl made landfall in South Texas as a Category 1 storm earlier this morning. The National Hurricane Center is warning of potentially life-threatening surges of storm and flash floods and wind gusts. 121 states and counties, 121 counties in Texas are under disaster declaration. A man in Harris County was actually killed after a tree fell onto a house. According to CenterPoint Energy, over 1.7 million customers are without power, and the hurricane is also disrupting travel. According to the flight tracking website FlightAware, airlines in the U.S. canceled more than 1,300 flights and delayed over 1,000 today. The Texas energy industry was evaluating the impact from Hurricane Beryl. So the powerful storm closed key shipping ports and hit the oil refining and production sectors. Texas is the largest U.S. oil and gas producing state, accounting for some 40% of oil output and 20% of gas production. So the port closures could disrupt oil and natural gas exports, as well as shipments to refineries and gasoline deliveries as well. Oil prices dipped slightly today after rising over the past 4 weeks. And this 4th of July holiday weekend hit an all-time new travel record. This is according to the Transportation Security Administration. TSA says it screened upwards of 3 million passengers. And that's a record for the first time ever for Sunday. And travelers flooding through checkpoints nationwide as people returned from Independence Day trips. So it shattered the previous record set last month when just under 3 million passengers were screened on June 23rd. American Airlines said it too expected to see record numbers Sunday with nearly 775,000 customers across more than 6,500 flights. There were some disruptions due to Hurricane Beryl. As I mentioned earlier, according to data from FlightAware, nearly 700 flights were canceled Sunday. FlightAware showed another nearly 1,400 flights canceled today. Meanwhile, flying frustrations reaching a new altitude. The Transportation Department received nearly 97,000 complaints last year, and this is up from the year before and the highest since the pandemic, wherein airlines were slow to give refunds after shutdowns. So flight cancellations remained low last year, but delays stuck around at 21% of all flights. And the department believes the increase in complaints comes from more customers knowing their rights and ability to file a complaint. For example, the department says that it helped Southwest Airlines customers get more than $600 million in refunds and reimbursements when the airline canceled 17,000 flights in December 2022. Okay, so this next segment takes a deeper look at Starbucks. A Harvard Business Review article says the company devalued its brand after shifting its focus away from customer experience. What did the authors say went wrong? NTD Sean Marshall takes us through.
Do you feel like Starbucks isn't what it used to be? You are not alone. A Harvard Business Review article says the brand is losing its shine because it's getting more commoditized, in particular shifting away from in-person customer experiences and more towards efficiency and volume. Gone are the days of handwritten names on cups, comfy cozy chairs have been replaced by hard wooden chairs, and electrical charging outlets can be hard to find. One example of the focus on efficiency is the new Siren Craft system, which aims to shorten wait times and simplify the drink creation process. Money manager Vijay Marolia thinks another part of the problem is that people now have more options working from home and are also making it in the office.
I think a lot of people have Keurig machines in their home. I do. Nespresso, I got one of those too. And so I used to go to Starbucks pretty frequently, but the way that I work has changed and I no longer go to Starbucks that much.
Starbucks' last quarterly earnings report had disappointing results with a 4% drop in sales and an 11% drop in its second biggest market, China. The Harvard article gave this recommendation, that is, to stop giving away free drinks and food that people would normally buy, and instead offer experiences that a customer would not have otherwise, like the Hilton Honors loyalty program. Marolia also thinks the only way to really improve is to understand the lifestyle of the younger millennial generation and Gen Z.
Younger people may not be that into caffeinated hot beverages. And so until and unless you really understand what they like, what they dislike, and really give them offerings that are healthier, and maybe even, to your point earlier, make it more comfortable for them, it's going to be very difficult.
The Harvard Business Review article suggests Starbucks needs a strong leader like its founder, former CEO Howard Schultz, someone who bleeds coffee and connections, not just dollars and cents. Sean Marshall, NTD News.
So here's the deal. There's a new twist in the $56 billion Elon Musk Tesla pay package deal. So clashes in court on Monday between legal teams for Tesla and a shareholder. It's over the value of a lawsuit that successfully challenged CEO Elon Musk's pay package. Now, the shareholder, Richard Tornetta, successfully sued over Musk's pay package in 2018, that would have returned worth of around $67 billion of stock back to Tesla shareholders instead of giving it to Musk. For his efforts, Tornado wanted a record $7 billion request to cover legal fees, and according to court documents, this would equal about $370,000 an hour. For the attorneys and staff, Tesla shareholders are now urging a judge to reject his request, and shareholders also voted to ratify Musk's pay back in June, potentially complicating the case. Now, Gru and the Minions meet a collection of new characters in the latest Despicable Me movie. Here's a look at the latest additions to the franchise.
Gru, I need a word with you. Your family's lives are at stake.
What?
Maxime Ramal has escaped from prison.
I'm coming for my revenge, Gru.
A new villain voiced by Will Ferrell sends Gru and his family into hiding in Despicable Me 4.
We're low on fuel. It's always something. I can never focus on just being evil.
These are the most fun characters, and because you get to kind of step outside yourself, and although it's silly, it's just funny to be kind of mean and top it off with a very impeccable French accent.
I need something that I can.
How about this?
Nice. I play Poppy. She is so mischievous and villainous, but also like really sweet underneath it all. And she's just, I love her so much.
Yes! It's kind of the coolest thing ever. It's a real pinch me moment. And now I get to use my Minion's voice, but I get to like justify it because I do talk like a Minion a lot.
Oh, right, the Minions. Some of them are getting an upgrade.
Ladies and gentlemen, our new secret weapon, the Mega Minions.
It's wild. Sometimes I'm laying in bed at night and I'm like, I can't believe I've been doing this for 15 years. Like, that is absolutely wild, and it's beyond my wildest dreams.
Looks like a fun movie. What do you think? Worth mentioning though, Despicable Me 4 debuted in theaters Wednesday, grossing an estimated $122.6 million over the 5-day holiday weekend. And did you know that Monday, today, is National Freezer Pop Day? And this is, I'm sure, everyone something that they can get behind. Because with the record-breaking heat we felt across the country, the freezer pops definitely will bring some relief. So, why not celebrate July 8th by grabbing one of these 60-plus-year-old treats and chill out, just for a bit. Whether you're on the pool or at a sporting event, you can enjoy this portable treat anywhere. And you can actually post your favorite flavors on social media using the hashtag National Freezer Pop Day. And with that, all the stories we have for you. Thank you very much for watching. And as I always say, if you have any feedback for the episode, feel free to let me know. Don't hesitate. Just email us at business@ntd.com or leave a comment online. I do read them. And as I always say as well, business matters. We'll see you tomorrow.